Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be about autism and how I am personally affected by autism, and there's a lot of good parts of it and there's a lot of negative parts of it, and I wanted to delve into that today. Now, for those of you guys who are new here, I was diagnosed with autism when I was 9 years old, and I do definitely want to get into how we found my diagnoses in another video, but just to give you guys kind of an idea of what that was like, my mom started seeing symptoms of my autism when I was like 6 months old. It was pretty soon after I was born that we started seeing things like I wasn't hitting milestones, although as quickly as everybody else was, I was late on a lot of things. So my mom and my family started searching for answers very soon after I was born, and I was kind of turned down in a lot of places, and it took us almost 10 years of working with psychiatrists and pediatricians and therapists to find out what was different about me. And that is very, very common for girls specifically, because we actually don't have a lot of research of how autism affects girls, because pretty much all of the research we've done on autism has been on men, because men are much more prevalent in the autism community and they're much more often diagnosed with autism than women are. And that is part of the reason why I had such a hard time getting diagnosed with autism. I had a lot of behaviors that weren't really seen in autism, but most of us know now are a big part of autism in women. So that's something to keep in mind as we talk about this. And the other thing is that I think a lot of people decide that when they've met one person with autism, they've met everyone, in the fact that all people with autism are the same and affected the same way. But autism is a huge pool of people, and it is kind of what we call like a rainbow. It used to be called a spectrum, and that kind of analogy is starting to be removed, because it's not even like a you have more autism or you have less autism type thing anymore. It's that every single person with autism is affected so differently that you can't even put somebody on a spectrum. It is a rainbow now of lots of different symptoms, and everybody is affected so differently that there's just no way that you can think that you know everything about it. I am affected in a lot of ways, but I'm affected mostly within my head and within my physical behavior, because I am a very social person. I talk a lot and I thrive in social situations most of the time, and because of that, when I tell people that I have autism after meeting them, the most common response I get is, "I did not sense that from you whatsoever." And this is sometimes from people who have worked with people from with autism. A lot of people who are on the autism spectrum are very quiet and kind of shy, and that's very much kind of a stereotype of people with autism. But I find that the girls, and also a lot of guys that I've met too with autism, there can be the really shy people, or there can be people like me who can talk your ear off for hours, because that is exactly how I am. I can talk for so long, and especially if you get me started on a topic that I adore, I can just talk forever. The main way that I'm affected, which is I fixate on things. I fixate on different topics, and that is actually one of the only symptoms of autism that I have seen in every single person with autism that I've met. I think that it is the only symptom that I know of that goes with every person on the spectrum. And sometimes you can hear it referred to as somebody's like thing. That's kind of how we refer to it in the community. Apologies, my dog is barking and there's nothing I can do about it. This is something that happens a lot throughout our lifetime. For me, I've had a ton of different fixations throughout my life. I've had so many, and the one that has stuck with me the most and that has actually turned into a career for me, which is wonderful, has been skincare and makeup. And for those of you guys who've been following me for a little while, you'll probably know that a lot of what I did when I first started on social media was makeup, and skincare is becoming more of my passion as the years have gone by. And so while I was starting YouTube, it was mainly for makeup, and I did a lot of body paint, I did SFX, I did glam makeup, I talked about products that I loved, I did reviews, and those videos, most of them are still up, and you can totally go look at those at my second channel. It is linked in the description. I did a lot of like creating and painting starting off, but that soon led into skincare when I, one, had really terrible cystic acne, and I found a lot of comfort in skincare when I was struggling the most with my skin, and also when the beauty community on YouTube stopped being people creating and bringing joy to others and being really positive about makeup to now being a lot of drama and a lot of really big creators and people stealing each other's art. I've had my art stolen several times because I've only ever done original pieces, and it was really frustrating, and I was feeling really low about the community that I was in, and that's a lot of the reason that I switched over to skincare and why skincare became so fun for me. And also, again, getting to try new products and try and like research and find new formulations and stuff, it has become something that I retain information of really well. But there's so many different topics that people fixate on when they have autism. I have friends that have so many different topics. I've known several people who are fixated with World War II and the whole like political side of wars in general. I have had friends, I have one friend, actually a couple of friends who are super into botany and gardening and like plants and all of those lovely things. I've had people that are like fixated on a certain animal, so like birds is a big one. A lot of people that are really fixated on video games and computer science. It's all over the place. I've actually never met another Aspie who is fixated on beauty, but I also haven't met a lot of girls that are fixated, or a lot of girls that have autism, because we're so rare. And these fixations can last a couple of days, or they can be like a lifetime's worth of research, which is crazy, and some of the people I've met have been incredible. So that's one of the big pluses of my autism, is that if I like a subject, I can fixate on it and I can just learn a ton of stuff about it within like a couple of days of just researching. So it's been very fun. We talked about being social and we talked about my fixations. The other way that I'm very much affected is I cannot sit still. And this goes along with my ADHD as well, but I have a very hard time not sitting still, and my hands are always moving, my legs are always moving. I can't like sit in a seat and not like sway back and forth. That makes it a little bit difficult to get work done or to be in like a classroom setting, because I tend to distract myself with the not being able to sit still, and I get really uncomfortable if I am sitting for too long, or if I'm not comfortable in a chair. It can be very uncomfortable, especially because I have physical health problems with my spine that make it uncomfortable in the first place to kind of I just live. Socially, I thrive socially, and I talk a lot and I can talk your ear off when it comes to topics that I love, or that I can add information to, or I can add a personal level to. But it does make it hard because some people in my life have tended to shut me out because I do talk a lot, and I'm currently trying to work on interrupting, because I do tend to interrupt people just because I have a hard time socially, and I always feel bad when I do. I can tend to be socially awkward, and that tends to irritate me, honestly, more than others. I don't think other people really notice it, but I tend to like accidentally put my foot in my mouth and feel terrible about it for like the next like couple of months because my mind just like throws that cringe back in my face again and I can't really do anything about it. Being social is really good for me at most times because I'm super extroverted, and it's very much how I stay sane, is having social interaction with other people. It can get me in places where I beat myself up over stupid things that I've said that really don't have any actual like consequences. The other thing about autism is that I think it tends to bring a lot of discrimination. I don't experience it much now. I haven't experienced discrimination because of my autism as an adult. Mainly because I don't tend to seem like I have autism unless I tell you so. But as a kid, when I was first diagnosed with autism, one, people didn't think I was on the spectrum because I was too social and I loved hugging people and that I'm a girl and that I'm too cute to have autism. I've heard so many things, reasons why I can't have autism that don't relate to autism at all. Like, on the cute thing, I've heard that from several doctors and I don't understand. Like, does autism have a look? Do certain people with autism have a certain look? I think it's ridiculous. And when I was properly diagnosed, I was very open about it at school, and it has caused me a lot of ostracization by multiple schools. I, in elementary school, started talking about it, and I should have just let it come up in conversation if it needs to, but other than that, I don't need to start it as a conversation. And when I was diagnosed, we didn't know a ton about autism, and most parents didn't know about autism. I mean, we didn't. And so I lost the majority of my friends because of me having autism, and a lot of the parents of my friends felt that it was unsafe for their kids to continue being friends with me, and that was really hard. And I lost my whole friend group, and people would not hang out with me or sit with me at lunch. I spent a lot of time with my teachers. Kind of blows my mind that this disorder that so many people have, and it's a lot, I'm very thankful that it's a lot more common now and people know about it more, but when I first was diagnosed with it, it was so unknown that parents felt like their kids were unsafe around me, which was heartbreaking, and it really made school really hard. That didn't stop once I got older. I experienced the same thing in high school. Luckily, the last 2 years, the school I was at was fine, and it was super helpful and wonderful, but there was one school that I went to for literally 1 year in high school because I didn't want to stay, because it was just the same thing that happened to me in elementary school. It's just like the ostracization and the discrimination that I face because of who I am, and that's been really hard. But me having autism has given me a voice to talk about things that a lot of people don't talk about. To talk about mental health, to talk about like skincare and makeup and spread that type of positivity, but also having a voice to talk about things that are really hard. I've had several really cool achievements since being in high school. I have been working really closely with a brand called Celebrate EDU. They do business like learning for people on the spectrum if they want to start a business. And so I worked with them. I got a whole like video interview with them, which was so fun to do, and I'm so thankful for that. Besides Celebrate EDU, I also got the opportunity to come on my local news station for one of their most popular shows that happens almost every night, and I went on there to discuss mental health problems and suicide amongst kids in elementary school, and I talked a lot about my experiences with mental health and suicide at that age, and I think it was really important because we don't tend to talk about that. That was an amazing experience where I was able to talk about that on TV. I just heard for like days afterwards from people who I didn't know, from people who I used to know, who I fell out of contact with, from people who I do know now. It was incredible, and it was an experience that I'm really thankful to have gotten. Being able to public speak like this and openly talk about things that affect people every single day has been so unbelievably life-changing, and I'm so grateful to have that, and I really don't think I would have had those if I didn't be so different from the day I was born. I think that a lot of times we think that normal is best. I don't think that. I think that normal is a made-up word to fit people into boxes, and I think that if we didn't have people with autism or mental health in the world, we wouldn't have a lot of the things that we have today. And there's so many people who were like inventors or celebrities or anything like that that were alive before we knew what autism was, who I definitely think had autism based on what we know about their lives. They wouldn't be like, there wouldn't be so many things in the world that we use daily. It drives me crazy that there's so many people that I know who are on the spectrum who are struggling to get jobs because people don't want to hire people with autism. People who are treated differently because of their autism. For me, I will say that I'm grateful that I can hide my autism well enough to pass as a normal person, a neurotypical person, but a lot of people with autism don't get that luxury, and it's apparent to people as they talk to them that there's something a little bit different about this person. And as humans, this whole humanity on this earth, people tend to think that they see something that's different, or they see something that's out of the norm, and they get kind of defensive, and they think that, oh, well, you're not like me, so obviously you can't do the things that I can do. And I've been told a lot in my life, I can't be successful, I can't be a person with a regular job, and I was told a lot as a kid that I was not gonna live a normal life. Well, guess who's living a normal life now? As an adult, I've gotten to a point where I can socialize pretty much like any other person. I can do what I want to do and be successful. I just have to find a way to do it that's a little bit different than how everybody else does it. And that is how my autism affects me. If I can think of anything else, I will definitely put it in the comments, but I definitely think that those were the main pieces that I thought were really important for me to talk about, because they're the main ways that I'm really affected. And I'll get into this a little bit more in the anxiety video that I will be doing in the next couple of days, but I do have some sensory related things when it comes to autism, certain things that kind of set me off with my senses, I guess I should say. That's like so weird to say out loud, but a lot of people with autism are affected with anxiety as well, and so I do tend to have sensory issues with certain things, and I will get into that more in the anxiety video. If you have autism or any other mental health disorder, or you feel like you're different and you are trying to find that piece of yourself, I just want you to know that it always gets better, and I know that new diagnoses are really scary. I've gotten several different diagnoses, more than I can count on one hand, over the period of my life so far, and I can tell you it's pretty scary every time, and I will be talking about that on this channel. And I just want you to know that there are people out there that can help you and that love you, and if you haven't found that kind of support yet, you just got to keep looking, because it's out there and it takes a village. But when you find that village, it is the most amazing feeling in the world, when you know that these people can understand you. And if they can't understand you, they will empathize with you, and they will support you in doing what you want to do with your life. And if you have anything else that I need to like respond to or anything like that, put it in the comments, because I'm very happy to get a discussion going. That would make me very happy. And if you guys have any other questions for me, you can reach out to me on YouTube as well, or you can head over to my Instagrams. I have two. My main Instagram, where I would probably get a hold of you best, is going to be at Sleepy Makeup Artistry, and that is my main account. And that is mostly for cosmetics, but I'm totally happy to answer mental health stuff on there as well. And if you want to go to my mental health specific Instagram, it is at Care For Yourselves, Care For Others. So that is also linked down below with the username and a full link, and those are great places to reach out to me. And if you have any like business related stuff as well, I have a business email link down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!